Ezra's heart pounded so loud it drowned out the hum of the dorm's ancient radiator. They stood before the mirror, the soft fabric of a sunflower yellow dress brushing against their knees, a secret rebellion against the world's expectations. At 20, Ezra had spent years hiding their non-binary identity, but tonight, in the safety of their single dorm room at Clarkson University, they dared to be seen, even if just by their own reflection. It started as a whim. Ezra had bought the dress at a thrift store in downtown Potsdam, New York, drawn to its vibrant color and the way it felt like freedom. They hadn't planned to wear it outside. Not yet. But when a knock came at their door that chilly October evening, panic seized them. "One SSC," they called, scrambling to pull on a hoodie to cover the dress. But the hem peeked out, a defiant splash of yellow against their jeans. Jamal, Lucas, and Riley stood in the hallway, all broad shoulders and Clarkson Knights football jerseys, their laughter fading as they caught sight of Ezra. Jamal, 21, a running back with a smile that could melt ice, raised an eyebrow. "Yo, Ezra, you good?" Lucas, the 22-year-old quarterback, leaned against the doorframe, his sharp gaze lingering on the dress's hem. Riley, the youngest at 19, fidgeted, his freckled cheeks flushing as he mumbled, "Didn't know you were into that." Ezra's stomach churned. They'd met these guys in their intro to sociology class, bonding over late-night study sessions and bad cafeteria pizza. But this was uncharted territory. "It's just a dress," Ezra said, voice trembling but firm. "I like it, that's all." The silence stretched, heavy and electric. Then Jamal grinned, stepping inside. "Looks dope, honestly. You got more." Lucas smirked, following, while Riley hesitated before shuffling in, closing the door. That night, the four talked until 2 a.m., the dress sparking conversations about identity, courage, and the masks people wear. By the time the football players left, Ezra felt something shift, a spark of connection, fragile but real. The next night they came back, and the night after that. By the fourth night, Ezra stopped hiding the dress. They wore it openly, heart racing as Jamal complimented the fit. Lucas teased about stealing it, and Riley, still shy, admitted he'd always wanted to try painting his nails. The dorm room became a sanctuary, a place where for unlikely friends peeled back layers of themselves under the flickering fluorescent light. But secrets don't stay secret on a small campus. Whispers spread about the weird kid in the dress and the football stars who kept visiting. Ezra overheard snickers in the dining hall, felt eyes boring into them in class. The team noticed, too. Teammates ribbed Jamal about hanging with the freak. Lucas got into a shouting match with a linebacker who called Ezra a slur. Riley, usually quiet, snapped at a group of freshmen spreading rumors. The pressure was mounting, and Ezra couldn't shake the guilt. Were they dragging their friends into a storm they couldn't weather? One night, as the four sat cross-legged on Ezra's rug, sharing a smuggled six-pack, Lucas broke the silence. "People are talking crap. My coach pulled me aside today, said I'm distracting the team." His voice was low, but his eyes burned with defiance. "I told him to shove it. It's worth it." Ezra's throat tightened. "You don't have to fight for me. I don't want you guys getting hurt." Jamal leaned forward, his hand brushing Ezra's. "We're not fighting for you. We're fighting for us. All of us." His touch lingered, warm and steady, sending a jolt through Ezra's chest. Riley nodded, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've never felt free like this. Not till now." The air shifted, charged with something deeper than friendship. Ezra's gaze flicked to Jamal's hand, then to Lucas's intense stare, then to Riley's flushed cheeks. They were all teetering on the edge of something unspoken, something that could change everything. But the world outside their dorm room was closing in, and Ezra knew it wouldn't let them have this moment without a fight. The weeks that followed were a blur of tension and tenderness. The four grew closer, their nights filled with laughter, confessions, and stolen glances. Ezra taught Riley how to apply nail polish, his clumsy fingers shaking as he painted them a deep blue. Jamal shared stories of growing up in Atlanta, where he'd learned to hide parts of himself to fit in. Lucas, usually guarded, admitted he'd questioned his sexuality since high school but never dared voice it. The dorm room was their haven, but the outside world was relentless. A viral post on the Campus X account changed everything. Someone had snapped a photo of Ezra in the dress, laughing with Jamal outside the library. The caption read, "Clarkson's QB and his crew slumming it with the dorm drag queen." Comments poured in, some curious, others vicious. Ezra's inbox filled with anonymous hate. The football team's group chat exploded, with players demanding Lucas fix this before it tanked their season. Lucas didn't back down. Practice, he confronted the team, his voice steady. "You got a problem with Ezra? You got a problem with me." Jamal and Riley stood behind him, a silent wall of support. But the coach benched them for the next game, citing team unity. The loss stung, and Ezra felt the weight of it. They started avoiding the group, skipping classes, hiding in their room without the dress, as if shedding it could erase the chaos. One rainy night, Jamal showed up alone, soaking wet. "You can't shut us out, EZ," he said, stepping inside. "We're in this together." He pulled Ezra into a hug, and for the first time, Ezra let themselves cry, the warmth of Jamal's arms unraveling their defenses. When Lucas and Riley arrived, they joined the embrace, a tangle of limbs and whispered promises. "We're not going anywhere," Lucas said fiercely. "Not now, not ever." But the pressure didn't relent. A group of students protested outside the dorm, chanting slurs and holding signs about traditional values. The university issued a vague statement about inclusivity, but it did little to calm the storm. Ezra's parents, conservative and distant, called after seeing the X post. "Come home," they urged. "This isn't you." Ezra hung up, trembling, the dress crumpled in a corner. The breaking point came during homecoming week. The Knights were set to play their biggest rival, and the campus was electric with anticipation. But the team was fracturing, and Ezra felt like the fault line. They decided to leave Clarkson, packing a bag in the dead of night. Before they could slip out, the door burst open. Jamal, Lucas, and Riley stood there, breathless from running across campus. "You're not running," Lucas said, his voice raw. "We need you. I need you." He stepped closer, his hand cupping Ezra's face, and kissed them, soft, desperate, real. Jamal and Riley watched, their eyes soft with understanding. "We're a team," Jamal said. "All four of us." Ezra's resolve cracked. They stayed, but the fight wasn't over. The homecoming game was a crucible. The crowd's jeers targeted not just Ezra, who sat in the stands wearing the yellow dress defiantly, but also Jamal, Lucas, and Riley on the field. Yet the three played with a fire Ezra had never seen, their passes and tackles a silent rebellion against the hate. When Lucas scored the winning touchdown, he pointed to Ezra in the stands, a gesture that silenced the crowd for a fleeting moment. After the game, the four met by the lake, the same spot where they'd shared quiet moments before. Under the stars, they talked about the future, uncertain, messy, but theirs. Ezra realized the dress wasn't just fabric. It was a symbol of their courage, their truth. The world might not be ready for them, but they were ready for each other. The months that followed were a slow rebuilding. The university launched a diversity initiative, spurred by the controversy. Ezra started a campus group for queer students with Jamal, Lucas, and Riley as vocal allies. The hate didn't vanish, but it lost its edge as more students joined their cause, drawn by their unapologetic authenticity. One spring evening, they sat on the same bench by the lake, the carved words, "Love dares to be true," worn but enduring. Ezra wore the dress, now a badge of pride. Jamal's hand found theirs, Lucas leaned against Riley, and the four watched the sunset, their laughter mingling with the rustle of leaves. They'd faced the storm and come out stronger, not just as friends, but as something deeper, a chosen family bound by love and defiance. Their story wasn't over. The world would keep challenging them, but Ezra knew they'd face it together. The dress, once a secret, was now a promise. To live boldly, to love fiercely, and to carve out a space where they could all be free.